It's February 2010. 70 years ago this month, Bobby Rogers of the Miracles and Smokey Robinson of the Miracles were born. What they did in music history all began in this building here. We're at 2648 Grand Avenue at the Motown Studios, Hitsville, USA. I want you to meet one of my favorite people in the whole world. Bobby, good to see you again.
Hey, Tom.
How's
everything?
Very well, buddy. This is Bobby Rogers here of the Miracles. Bobby and Smokey have been friends ever since they were children back here in Detroit. As a matter of fact, they were born on the same day in the same hospital an hour apart. But it all started right here, Motown Studios. They were childhood friends who after school would get together and sing on the street corners. They would form their group. It was originally known as the Matadors, and it stayed as the Matadors for a long time. Inside Herman Kiefer Hospital. This is the hospital where Bobby and Smokey were born 70 years ago. Before they entered rock and roll history, they entered the world together, right here in this hospital. They didn't know that until they met at the passport office and signed up for their passports together when the Miracles were about to leave the country for a foreign tour. They were writing down their names, they were writing down their birthdays and the time they were born, and they discovered they were born in the same place, at the same time, only an hour apart.
In 1940, Herman Kiefer Hospital averaged 5 babies born every day. The 5 that were born on February 19th, 1940 were all miracles in their own right, but 2 went on to become the Miracles of Motown. They directly set into motion the careers of Mary Wells, the Temptations, and their own. They directly advanced careers of Marvin Gaye, the Contours, and the Marvelettes. Bobby took me to visit his old high school, Cass Technical High School in downtown Detroit. It was Detroit's only magnet school at that time. Bobby's classmates were members of Smokey's group, known as the Five Chimes. They were Pete Moore and Ronnie White. Ronnie was Smokey's friend from elementary school, and Ronnie was also the paperboy in Smokey's neighborhood. The Five Chimes included Bobby's cousin, Emerson Rogers, who lived directly across the street from Bobby on Warren Court. We visited Bobby's old street, but today there's nothing left to be seen except for overgrown fields for many city blocks, as the houses have all been torn down. Smokey insisted on rehearsing at Emerson's house because Smokey adored Emerson's younger sister, Claudette. Bobby would often come across the street to watch these rehearsals, but he was in a group called the Orchids. And when James Grice, another member of the Five Chimes, left because he married his pregnant girlfriend and went to work, Bobby was asked to take his place. The group at that time was renamed as the Matadors. Then Emerson was drafted into the Army, and Smokey convinced Claudette to take Emerson's place. The group was now solidified, but their name of the Matadors didn't fit because a lady was a member of the group. So each member selected their favorite name and they put it into a hat, and the name of the Miracle Tones was pulled out. That was quickly shortened to Miracles. When the group auditioned for Jackie Wilson's manager, Nat Tarnopol, in August of 1957, Nat told the Miracles, "There's already the Platters. You got a guy singing high and a girl in the group. You got to change your format." That left the Miracles dejected. But a 19-year-old man was sitting in a chair far off to the side, and he watched that audition. He got up and he walked over to the group and he spoke in a loud, whispering voice. He said, "Hey man, where'd you get those songs you sang?" Smokey told him, "I wrote them. A couple of them I liked. I'm Berry Gordy," and he shook Smokey's hand. Smokey asked him, "The Berry Gordy who writes the songs for Jackie Wilson? You got any more songs?" And Smokey said he did. Smokey nodded to the loose-leaf notebook that was tucked under his left arm. "I've got about 100 of them," he said. So the Miracles sang 20 songs for Berry that day. Without these Miracles, there never would have been a Hitsville that is part of American history that we know today. Shortly after they became part of Berry Gordy's record company, before there was even a Motown Records, they played the Apollo Theater. But they were so unprepared that they were told never to come back. Before we left Bobby's childhood neighborhood, we stopped to visit the Warren Avenue Baptist Church. This is where Bobby attended Sunday services and where Smokey married Claudette on November 7, 1959. I asked Bobby if he and the Miracles were learning a trade or preparing for college in case his promise of a career in music didn't work out. Bobby said that all of the Miracles collectively felt that we have no doubt that we're going to succeed because we've got Smokey. Now, the first song that the Miracles recorded in this studio was what?
Shop Around.
Shop Around. Now, Shop Around was recorded a couple of times, if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Yes. Smokey called us and told us that Barry said that it's too slow. People can't dance to it.
Now, they called you in the middle of the night, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wasn't it late at night?
Yes.
And now, Earl Van Dyke was the piano player on the original recording. Couldn't find Earl that late in the morning to have him come down here and play the music. So Barry himself had to play the music.
Right. Dun, 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 dun.
Right. It was that simple, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you guys came in here and you recorded it, and it was a totally punched up version. It was in high gear. And
Yes.
Everybody loved it.
Yes.
And it became Motown's first million seller.
Yes.
It was a gold record. You wrote some music for a group that we know as the Temptations.
Yes.
The Way You Do the Things You Do.
Yes.
You and Smokey recorded that. Excuse me, you and Smokey wrote that.
Yes.
And you wrote it because of an idea and a conversation that you and Smokey had while driving on the Pennsylvania Turnpike coming back from a performance. Smokey's asking you questions, and you're answering the questions about all the pickup lines that the young Bobby Rogers had, right? Right? The way you do the things you do, you got to smile so bright.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, I thought you was going to bring me something.
Huh?
I thought you was going to say something else.
No. Well, okay.
I don't know.
First I look at the purse.
First I look at the purse. Smokey, myself, and Ronnie, of course.
You told me Smokey was asking you about, hey,
He said,
when you look at a girl, what do you look at first?
Well, I said, man, first I look at the purse.
So the first time I saw the Miracles was at Leo's Casino back in 1968. And then I got to see you guys on your farewell tour in 1972 when you came to Hawaii.
Right.
I was stationed in the Army in Hawaii.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was coming backstage, trying to sneak backstage, and a police officer put his arm across the door. And I said, I just want to see my friend, Smoke. And a voice on the other side said, let him in.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped his arm, and I walked in, and there was Smokey, Ronnie, Pete, and you, Bobby Rogers. And Ronnie was laughing at me because he knew I didn't know Smokey, but he knew I was able to get myself in there.
Yeah.
And you guys were getting ready to go on stage. You let me take a few pictures. I was too nervous to give my little Instamatic camera to the police officer and say, take a picture of me with these guys. But looking back now, 37 years later, I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
But I got beautiful pictures of you guys before you went up on stage in your black, crushed velvet hot pants.
Mm.
It's one of my favorite pictures, one of my favorite memories.
Mm.